Society split when enforcement quit. And that is, in our opinion, day to day, moment to moment, what's going on. I've never seen such a breach of the sort of social compact that we all have with each other. Hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm a boomer.
And my name is Michelle Marie, and I'm a millennial. And together, we're the boomers. So first off, welcome to our premiere. We are so excited to have you all here. Just to start, I'd like to give you a little bit of background information on Jonathan and I. We both live in the Pacific Northwest in North America. We both hold advanced degrees and work in the tech industry. We are self-employed contract workers and have been for over the last decade. And the reason we started this show is because, given our background and our experience, we should not be struggling given the format of the American dream, yet we are. And we're checking in to see how you guys are doing and what you're experiencing. Because our experiences, especially during the last 5 or so years, have been beyond bizarre. And so we got together and we decided to form a channel where we could bring generations together, different demographics together, people from all backgrounds to kind of discuss what we're seeing happening in North America and how we can help each other and unify instead of divide, which is what we feel the media is causing in our country. It's Democrat versus Republican. It's people of color versus non-people of color. It's, do you support this war or do you support that war? And what's really going on, in my opinion, is an economic war against the United States itself. And so what we're trying to do is create a community of unity and share each other's experiences and try to maybe help each other out of this, for lack of a better term, hole that we're all finding ourselves in. Because if we're struggling and we have advanced degrees and we live in a good area and we've done everything right and we're law-abiding citizens with no records, how are we making it? How is everyone else making it? So that's the reason we started the show. And Jonathan, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, yes, I've been here for a minute. I'm over 70 years old. I go back to when computers booted off a floppy disk, believe it.
He built his first computer, guys, in the 80s. Like, he built them before they were mass produced. So that just gives you a little background there. He's still in the same area. So
yeah. I've seen it come from, again, floppy disk. You have to take the boot floppy out, stick another floppy in, save part of it, and now we're doing this. So the technical function of our society has accelerated literally at light speed. But what we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years, and especially recently, is that the society that's being facilitated by that technology is going in reverse. Mm-hmm. And we don't have the answers. We have the questions, we don't have the answers. We're looking to see if maybe you have some of the same conditions going on in your community. Do you have some answers? Because if you have answers, you will be very popular in our society and certainly on YouTube. I've been here for a minute. Like I said, I've seen things go up and I've seen things come down. What I have never seen before is things go down and then go down farther, mm-hmm. and then go down farther. And that's really where it seems like we are. And this is just my opinion. The primary condition causing what we're experiencing is the lack of enforcement. There used to be a system of, let's just call them standards.
Checks and balances.
Yeah, or laws.
Yeah.
And when people went too far outside the checks and balances, the system itself tended to correct them. Mm-hmm. When they went outside the law too far, there were people that were their job was to enforce the laws. They were enforcement. Society split when enforcement quit. And that is, in our opinion, day to day, moment to moment, what's going on. I've never seen such a breach of the sort of social compact that we all have with each other. We have to agree that we're going to shop in stores together and not, create problems for each other. We're going to drive the same direction on the highway at the same time at a relatively generalized speed and that sort of thing. I mean, this is fundamental stuff. Walking down the street, driving down the street, not on the sidewalk, things like that.
Riding your motorcycle on the sidewalk over pedestrians. That's a fun one.
Yeah, an electric motorcycle. You
Yeah.
can call it a bicycle, but if you're not pedaling, it's a motorcycle.
Yes.
So again, this may be specific to our community because all of this stuff is going on. We'll probably start documenting some of it, but it is going on. And I can tell you from having lived in this particular community, I mean, I've been living in communities since I was 0 and I'm over 70 now. In this particular community, the social condition has dropped dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years.
This is just one example of what we saw while walking outside. There is an older woman from another country. Her English is a little spotty, but she's very sweet. She lives in our building, and she takes her little Yorkie out every day. And she's outside walking her little Yorkie, and a couple, I would put them in their late 50s, came by on their electric bikes, almost ran over her and her little dog on the sidewalk, screamed profanities in her, and said, "Get out of my old way, you blootity blop," and almost killed her dog. So, and that's just walking outside on the sidewalk. Now, I don't know what that was. I'm going to just tell you, in the 80s and 90s, if someone did that, especially if it was a kid or a mentally ill person, someone said something or did something to keep them from doing that to the people in the neighborhood. And again, I'm coming from the perspective of a white middle-class family from the 1980s and 90s, but that was not behavior that was acceptable. We're actually living in a more affluent community now and seeing these behaviors just off the cuff. And we don't know, is it mental illness? Is it an economic issue? Is it the fact that there's a lot more violence in our media and a lot more division in our politics? We're trying to figure out what's bringing out the nasty. And we'd appreciate your comments because it's, especially in the last 5 years, been very interesting. And something even more profound happened to Jonathan in the last year. Now, I'm going to let him describe to you what happened to him. Now, we can back this up with police reports, evidence, everything. So that's already out there. And we have already taken all legal avenues to correct this. So just before he gets started, we're going to put that in place. But yeah, without ado, you want to tell him what happened in the last year?
Yeah. And I'll try to make this as short as possible. But basically, I inherited a house from a family member who passed away. And the house, she'd been living in it for 50 years and had...
And Jonathan paid for the house. Yeah. He actually paid for her to have this house. He made all the mortgage payments and repairs, etc., because he's just a given guy.
Yeah. And I'd repaired the roof once over that period of time, but the roof was getting a little rugged. And so what we were going to do is rehab the house and either decide to live in it or sell it.
Because we are renters.
Yeah, we're renters. Mm-hmm. And last year was one of the hottest sale markets that the United States has ever seen. I was also in real estate for a number of years, so I can track it when I see it. And so you need to get a remodeling loan. That's not brain surgery. You go to a lender, you say, here are our qualifications. This is how much money we want to borrow. They said, okay, great.
The issue with that was they required us to, in order to get the loan to fix the property, we had to get the property to a fixable state, right, which was interesting.
Again, repair the roof. And
yeah, so we had to repair the roof and fix the deck. And so I reached out to a family member who is based in Oregon, and she has had a lot of stuff done to her house and has been very, very happy with that work that she had done. And so we went to her and she said, this is the best person. We interviewed them. We were like, we'll see. We interviewed a few other people and we decided to go with this particular person. Now, we did run a screen on them and nothing really crazy came up, like anything that would be public record that we could find. And then we met them at the property to do the work. And we had a contract in place. We needed the deck done for this much, and we want the roof done for this much. And we all signed around, agreed, and we left the property for the day because we had to go to work. And we came back to.
We did not have a roof done. We did not have a deck done. The contractor decided instead, and again, the contract specifically stated those items and those items only. He tore out both bathrooms in the house. Down
the kitchen,
the
flooring,
the flooring, the
walls.
pipes, the ceiling, sprayed the open pipes with foam, which, if you're going to tear open the pipes, that's a nice thing to do, but you're not supposed to tear open the pipes. He basically made the house uninhabitable and did not touch the roof or anything else that he was supposed to be doing. And
he did demolish the deck.
Well, that's true. So he could back his truck up to throw
the rest of the house into a dumpster. Yeah.
So we contacted him, and basically his answer was, "Shut up! I'm doing what I'm doing."
I wanted the money.
Yeah. I'm just getting ahead of it. I know I'm going to have to do this anyway, and instead of doing it the way that you said, which is stupid, I'm doing it the way that a contractor would. And we said a contractor would follow the contract. Your contract is not for what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, now he created hundreds of thousands of dollars of work that had to be done. And frankly, at that point, I doubt if the mortgage company would proceed anyway. So
rather than have a mortgage ourselves or our own home, we were basically financing this other family member for years because she was diagnosed with cancer. And so we put all of our money and wherewithal into helping this person. And then when she passed away, we were going to fix up the house, sell it, and then get some of the money back that we got from her being basically her support. And this was your home to begin with. So this was going to be Jonathan's retirement. Again, he's in his 70s. He's not getting any younger. So this was his way of making things happen, because he did have a retirement, but 2008 took care of that. And that's for another episode.
that enforcement thing I talked about.
Yeah. So we found ourselves in a situation dealing with a guy that was completely and totally unaccountable after making our house 100% uninhabitable. Now, we're glad that the family member had since passed so that she did not have to deal with homelessness and cancer on top of all of this stuff. So we went to the police.
Yeah. The police, of course, would be the first place you go if somebody burglarized your home.
Oh, and by the way, guys, he broke a window to get in.
Yeah, burglarized the house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have insurance on the house. It's completely insured, top to bottom, premier blue label policy, best you can get.
And you've had it for decades.
Had it for many, many, many thousands of dollars. And the police, in where the house was located, where I was on the city council at one point, I got to be personal friends with a lot of the police. They're really solid, hard-working
His name is on
people.
the building. Well, his name is on the police building. He helped fund their department.
It's in the building. It's not on the building. But anyway,
big supporter of police.
I'm no stranger to the administration in this particular locale. So I called I didn't pull any strings. I just acted like a citizen. I called the police. I spoke to someone who said, "Okay, let you talk to one of the detectives." And I talked to one of the detectives, and they're like, "He did what? He did what? He did what?" And I had all of the contact information for this person, so I gave it to them, and they said, "Okay, let's. This is way out there. Let me get into this." And
we actually had a detective do a full report for us and look into it and interview everyone, which was amazing. So thank you, TPD. We appreciate you.
Yeah. And so we get the report back, and it was basically word for word. This is the question. This was the answer. Did you do this? Yes, I did. Why did you do it? Because it needed to be done, but it wasn't on the contract. No, it wasn't. So basically, I looked at that, and again, I've been around for a minute. I know what a statement looks like. I know what an admission of guilt looks like. If somebody says, "Did you do X?" and you say, "Yes, I did X," then you just admitted to doing X.
Yeah.
He admitted to everything. In fact, he brought up some stuff that we didn't
even know about. Like he broke in twice.
Yeah.
He broke another window.
Broke another window, and we checked. Yeah, sure enough.
And then
he broke the window.
He messed with our water and stuff. Like we didn't even know some of the stuff that showed up. It was crazy.
So so here we have the perpetrator admitting to everything on camera to the police detective. And the result of that, of course, as you would expect, was I got a really nice report by email.
So you need to give it to your insurance company. So we took that report where he admitted to doing everything, and we brought it to our insurance company. And the insurance company said, and I'm going to quote them, he did such a beautiful demo. I would have paid for him to do that in my house. And I told this 20-something-year-old girl who answered the phone, you want me to send him over? So we got zero from our insurance company. Zero. They wouldn't even listen to the case or look at the photos or do anything. So I took the case onto Next Door. And Next Door all said the same thing. This can't happen. Or they literally said, oh my gosh, that happened to me too. You're screwed. So I went, if this is happening across the board where someone could put 40 years of their life into an asset that they plan to retire on, which is the definition of the American dream for the boomers, and someone could literally break into your house, illegally destroy it and make it uninhabitable, and just walk away with no consequence, and the insurance won't cover it, it's just beyond. And so I went ahead and put a report through the Washington State Insurance Commission. That was back 2 months ago. We haven't heard anything. But this particular incident was not a person that we knew. This wasn't like a divorce, a he said, she said type of thing. This was a person that we had hired based on relying on the evidence produced to us by a family member and entrusted to fix this property that we were then going to sell and put towards Jonathan's retirement. As it stands, we had to sell the property for the price of the land, and we are losing money every month, but while we still had it, because the utilities were still on and we had to keep that thing upright. So we were getting letters from the city, we were getting fines, we had to hire an attorney to basically handle all of the extra expenses caused by the damages. The neighbors were complaining because the house was literally falling into their yard, parts of it, after he was done. Remember that? It was really bad. And so I did the math, and it was about $330,000 of damage. And that doesn't include legal fees. That doesn't include anything. And we both looked at each other and went, how is this possible? How is this legal? How can this happen? So I went a step further, and I pulled a full police report on this guy because I wanted to know who was out there walking around that think that they could get away with this. The guy that did the work has over 20 violations and felonies on his record. He's not even licensed to drive, let alone do any construction. So this guy, a full-on felon, is going up and down I-5, destroying what we found, multiple senior citizens' houses, and walking away if they don't pay him what he wants to fix it. This is like going to the doctor and they break your nose and say, okay, well, luckily I'm a plastic surgeon and you can pay me to fix it. That's what this guy's doing. I even came across, it was a 91-year-old woman. He destroyed her property, and her daughter-in-law had to step in and save her. And she was a widow, just like Jonathan's family member. And we've since found then that he is now stealing money from widows and elderly people up and down I-5. And he's just getting away with this stuff. And we're thinking, what's it going to take?
Yeah. Why is he getting away with this stuff? Again, we have an entire
system in place to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, an entire organization. And again, I know police. They're hardworking, dedicated public servants.
Names on the building.
Yeah.
He supports
something is wrong.
Yeah.
There is a complete incongruence between my experience when I was younger, even 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If I had called the police, they would have arrested this guy, probably put him in jail just to make a point, and something would have happened.
Yeah.
What they gave me was honestly a very thorough but useless piece of paper that I took to my insurance company, who said, well, you're going to have to do that work anyway, even though it wasn't the contract. And no, we weren't going to have to do that work anyway. The insurance didn't pay off. The police didn't do anything, and we tried suing him, and our lawyer said he's not worth it.
Well, the lawyer actually said that he didn't have as much assets and that all of his bonds were from other lawsuits. So his bond and everything else was stacked up because this is his business model and this is what he's able to do.
Yeah.
So
again, we fall back into enforcement. I honestly thought long and hard. This is our first show. This should probably be
we've got a lot of stories like this.
Rainbows and kittens.
Yeah,
we have rainbow and kitten stories. But
we also have a lot of stories about what is possible in America and the things that that
didn't used to be possible. Good and bad. Good and bad. But this one really, for the last 10 years, let's say, I really want to say my whole life, but other things have happened that were pretty bad and pretty good too. In the last bit of time, this is the most egregious lack of enforcement at every level that I have ever seen. And again, I've been part of the systems that I'm talking about here. I've been on city councils, I've been on community councils, I've been on advisory councils to the police. I know these folks, I know how they operate. This is not how they operated. Something has happened. I and Michelle hope this is not happening in your community. I would rather think that we were living in some sort of weird sociological cyclone than, oops, it's all gone. But that's part of why we started this channel, was to put this out there and say, hey, anybody else having crazy stuff like this happen? Honestly, we know it is because we've looked at various social media threads, and yeah, there's a lot of this stuff out there. The question is, how widespread is it?
So I was talking to Jonathan and I said the contrast between what neighbors are talking about on Nextdoor and our community is a stark contrast on what the news is reporting and what we're seeing in the mass media cycles. So another reason for the show is to basically provide some type of a platform where we take our next door concerns, our community concerns, out into a forum where we can discuss them, find solutions, and find out why our systems are broken in the first place. Because I'm about 33 years younger than Jonathan, and this was crazy when I was a kid. I can't imagine what it was like in the 50s and 60s. So we would really, really appreciate your comments, any ideas that you would have for the show that you would like us to present. We're full of ideas just based off of we walk outside every day and go, what just happened? What was that? So we're full of content here, but we want to really gear it toward you and your experiences, and creating a community where we can really put this out there and try to troubleshoot some of these things. Like, that's kind of my tech way of saying, if the computer's broken and we're all having the same problem, maybe if we all talk to each other and go back and forth, we can come up with some at least short to long-term solutions on how to handle the criminality that we're seeing out in the collective. So
yeah, and we actually seriously talked about maybe we should just book it to Colombia or something,
or
just go to another society. If ours is dead, we want to get out of here.
Well, we were looking at Ecuador, and then they went into a civil war, and so we're like, so we're actually wondering, if you're not in the United States, if you're not in Canada, what are you experiencing in your countries? Are you seeing a lack of enforcement? Are you seeing a lot of young males not going to work, just kind of wandering around outside? Are you seeing a lack of city and social services? Are you seeing an increased homeless population in your area? Are you seeing just mass criminality? We call it visa crimes in our area. There are people that are actually coming over from other countries specifically to break into our richer neighborhoods and steal people's Teslas and catalytic converters and get into their safes and take their electronic devices. I mean, is the criminality in your area as stark, especially in talking to your neighbors, as it is here? Or are we just, like Jonathan said, are we in a bubble?
Yeah, if we're in a bullseye, we want to know what outer ring you're in, because
yeah, we'll go move next to you.
And what are the house prices like?
Yeah, so we're law-abiding citizens. We follow the American dream. We, like I said at the beginning of the show, we have degrees and certifications. We're hard workers. We do not have any sort of criminal background, but we're experiencing the complete opposite of that from the other side of things, whether it's corporately driven, whether it's just economically driven, whether something socially snapped, we'd love to hear from you. So is there anything else that you want to talk about as far as?
No, I think this is a good touchstone for the first show, of course. And I
Yeah.
think what we're trying to do is, like Michelle just said, we'd like to hear from you.
Yes,
Seriously, we
please.
would like to hear from you. If you have a worse story, let's put them all together. If you have a much better story, let's hear that too. I would like to think that there are other places that people can live in this country where this is not going on. I mean, I've
Yeah.
spent a lot of my time, a lot of my years in social service. I was not a social servant per se. I was a citizen volunteer, and I was part of a lot of council communities and things like that, and meetings. And they appointed me to the city council to fill out someone's term who had to leave at one point because I was already up to date at the level of a city council member because I came to all the meetings anyway.
Yeah. So he's been on neighborhood city council. You've on neighborhood councils. You've been on city council. You've been on the historic preservation district. You've been on county council. You've been on. Jonathan is a neighborhood guy. I'm a neighborhood girl. I was a business person. That's how we connected. And I'm big on the business councils in this area and connecting those people. So we got a lot of Gemini energy for the astrology people out there in our chart. We like connecting people, building bridges, working with our communities and trying to find answers to problems. So, this isn't going to be a political show. This is going to be a show about neighbors and coming together and unifying what has been broken, because that's clear in my mind what's been happening. And this is just my opinion. I believe that we're becoming more and more of an oligarchy, meaning most of the money is going toward the top, and their way of keeping the money at the top is to pit us against each other. Some of them use class, some of them use caste in our area because we have a high Indian population. Some of them use race. Some of them use gender. And a lot of them, in my opinion, are using generational gaps, like they're pitting millennials against boomers and vice versa. So we're trying to stop that in the bud. We're trying to bring people together and create a community where we can provide solutions instead of just complaining. So if you have any ideas, we're open to them. We're also open to having other people and channels come on the show and discuss what they're experiencing as far as their area and their generational understanding of what's going on. And we welcome you to come back and please subscribe, get to know us. And we hope that this turns into something that can be helpful for you and your family and your community. So, yeah. So, without ado, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you return. We're going to be here every other Thursday at 5 o'clock on YouTube. We're also going to be showing on Twitch and Facebook, and we're going to be putting a podcast out as well. So wherever you're participating from, welcome. Our website is theboomermill.live. You're welcome to message us there. Our email is theboomermill@gmail.com. And we have numerous places on social media where you can reach us as well. So thank you so much for joining us. We're sending you lots of peace. And we hope that you can join us on this journey together. So thank you so much.
Thank you.